Talk about somebody that is trending in the right direction. Cadence Burge. So she's now entered her name onto the list of promising young one-time FPO Pro Tour winners, joining names like Emily Weatherman, Kat Murch, and Kona Panis. Is there anything that leads you to believe she'll rise to the hype more than those others and become a star in the division? Obviously, we've seen this story before, but she has been playing well. Brody, what do you think?
So after playing this past weekend, it's been a hot minute since I've done so. I kind of checked back. I think it was like almost a year since the last time I played on tour. And I must have said this 5 or 6 times. This is a putting contest. This is a putting contest. Like, that is what disc golf currently is set up. It is a putting contest. Playing with people, watching them play, and playing myself. If you putt well, you're going to score well. Point blank. And Cadence right now is proving to be one of the better putters inside of the circle on the FPO. She went 11 for 11 round 1, 12 for 13 round 2, and 8 for 10 in round 3. Two of those misses, her 2 misses in round 3 was that 3 putt that she had on hole number 12. So I think the hype is completely warranted. Also, if you go and look at her last 3 events, she hasn't finished outside the top 3. Finishing 3rd, second at a major, and then obviously winning this one. I think what she's showing right now is she's becoming a very consistent player, and she's able to handle the pressure at her age. I wouldn't say she's handling the pressure well, because we have seen her crack a little bit, and she did crack a little bit in that final round, but she's doing it pretty much better than anyone at her age, right? The things that I need to see from her now is, can she keep improving? Right? She has to keep getting better from C2, more distance off the team, and she has to develop a forehand, because some of those shots that she was throwing that final round would have been a lot easier had she had a forehand.
Yeah, certainly seems to be the hole in her game right now. Hunter, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, when you list the names among them, I agree with the list she's on, we'll say, but I think there's one glaring difference, which is the putt, as Brody alluded to. I mean, when we look at the players you listed where they're currently putting, none of them are even in the same realm. Kat Murch is the closest, but her circle 2 putt struggles. Cadence is one of the best putters in the world, period. I mean, if you look at her, really, when you combine circle 1 and circle 2, in my opinion, there's only 2 names better than her, and that's Owen Scoggins and Silva Saarinen. Cadence Burge is 4th best in FPO this season in Circle 1X putting. She's 5th best in FPO in Circle 2 putting. There's very few that are that high up on those lists. And when you look at Owen and Silva, Owen, obviously what's holding her back is just as she's gotten older, her distance hasn't allowed her to be as consistent, versus Silva. We're also Silva, we're also seeing her breakout arc kind of going up. I think that also a key thing that Brody brought up is she has a lot of room for improvement. Cadence does. She has a phenomenal backhand, like we've seen with the likes of Silva Saarinen, and able to win without a forehand means there is that room to build out her game. When we've seen other players such as Kat Murch, Emily Weatherman, Kona Panis, they were kind of as fully developed as they ever got to. Could that happen with Cadence? Sure, but we saw them a lot of times with a forehand, with a backhand, and their putt dialed. Cadence left a lot of room out there. I mean, even on day 2, she threw OB and had a putt from there. On the final day, she messed up on that 12 to 14 hole stretch. There was plenty of strokes out there, so her ceiling is way higher, in my opinion, than some of the other one-time winners. Those felt a little flukier. I think Emily Weatherman from that list, honestly, might be the one that has the ceiling to get back there. Kat Murch, we know what she is. Kona, we know what she is. And Cadence, I think we know what she is, and it's a future star.
Okay, Dustin, are you in agreement? Future star?
Yeah, she's certainly doing really well. I mean, I think people have to realize this is really only her 2nd year fully on tour. So she has only had a little bit of experience. Still has a lot to gain. And when you look at where she started, you know, she wasn't that great putting, and she really wasn't that great at hitting the circles regulation either. Everyone's mentioning putting stats, and those are indeed important, but she was only getting circle 2 in regulation 16% of the time her first season, and C1 only about 20% of the time. Yet her C1X putting was like 70%. So it was kind of average at best, but we've seen her progressively getting better. You just look at her finishes this season: 10th at Waco, 5th at Music City Open, 2nd at Kansas City Wide Open, and then 3rd at Preserve, and now 2nd at US Women's, and now a win. So we're seeing the progression there. Now she's doubled her values in hitting C1 and C2 in regulation. So she's throwing the disc better. We can see she has a clean backhand and good shot shaping. She has above average distance for the FPO field. And yeah, now her putting is in the top 5 in both C1X and C2. Like, she's increased her C1 putting by 10% over the last 2 seasons. Like, that is pretty remarkable when you really think about it. So she also is now showing then that she has the want to grind, the want to practice, the want to get better, the killer instinct to want to do things. And while she may have had some mess ups here and there, she piped it on 17, 18 when she needed to during the final round to get the job done. So I definitely think she has a lot going for her. I would compare her to the Emily Weatherman. Emily also hasn't been on tour for very long. She's got a good backhand, but I think Caden's backhand is better. She throws further and she's a better putter. So when I look at all of those values, I think she's definitely one to keep an eye on, as well as Taylor Chosick, because she's just a super athlete.
Okay. Yeah. Moses, do you think she separates herself from those names, or are we getting a little overexcited?
No, I mean, I think she absolutely separates herself from those names. And I think one thing to consider as well is age. In this situation, she's 18 years old. Emily Weatherman, given, was 18 years old when she won on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. But I think we talk about ceilings and, everything else. Like, there's no ceiling at this age. Like, they can still become much better players. It's the amount of effort that they're putting into. And I think whereas, Cadence has increased in those different statistics, in those putting stats, it's a clear sign that she is willing to grind and actually increase her ceiling, And I really think, as Brody said, like, her consistency is by far the most impressive thing about her. This isn't a flash in the pan. She is a consistent top 10 FPO player this year. Obviously with the Europeans out of the field, that may be arguable. I think she's probably closer to top 15, I would say. But a lot of that is due to her putting and how much she has improved in those statistics. She kind of has that fast, aggressive spin putt that you've seen. And I think a lot of that is down to her being kind of a momentum player. Sometimes we see that with spin putters in particular. And I think she has handled her emotions fairly well in that instance as well. Like, we saw her lose those 4 strokes across the 3 holes in the final 9, clearly upset. She was crying. But she bounced back with 3 birdies on the final 4 holes. And that's what I think that really was a result of, was just nerves. And I think that those holes she missed was down to the fact that this was her first Disc Golf Pro Tour where she, is probably going to win or, starts the final round with the lead. And I think that's a huge aspect of it.
Yeah. Can I add something, Trevor?
Yeah.
I just got to give a shout out to our guy, Robbie C, because someone that he's caddied for me before. So I kind of have an idea of how he caddies. I think his personality and the way he caddies, I think, is an absolute advantage for Cadence to have on her bag. I think if he's not on the bag there, that stretch of 12 through 14, I think she doesn't get out of her head. I think she makes more mistakes and she loses the tournament. I think he did a great job. And I think this is what shows, especially to younger players out there, having someone on your bag, having another perspective out there to kind of get you out of your mental thoughts that might be bad could be super, super advantageous to you. So shout out to Robbie C. And I know he's caddied for her a couple times this season. I don't know if he's done a full event or has caddied like in the final round as he did here, but it was awesome to see them working together down that stretch.
I think they're from the same area, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, they probably know each other pretty well.
He also caddied Sully to a 4th place finish, and he played doubles with Ezra, helping him practice, led to a win. It was Robbie C weekend.
That guy was all over the winner's circle.
He had a hell of a weekend.